Hello, my name is Casey Stegeman, and today we're going to be talking about the 1976 Montreal Olympics. This presentation is for Concordia MBA Class 527, Project Management. The agenda today is the introduction, project task, risk, scheduling, budget, communication, results, recommendations, and sources. In 1976, the Summer Olympics were held in Montreal, Canada. During the summer of 1970, the host site of Montreal was selected. Patel et al. States the Olympic bid was based in part on Montreal's successful hosting of the 1967 Expo. However, the final cost of the Expo was $430 million, much more than the 1964 estimate of $160 million. Mayor Jean Drapeau was the person heading the Montreal bid for the 1976 Summer Olympics. The project focused on construction and hosting of millions of people from around the world who would enjoy and participate in the Olympics. Drapeau stated that the games would cost a maximum of $124 million. Roger Talbert was the architect selected due to the mayor's affection for his previous works. Skepticism for the budget was already profound. The prior Munich Games had cost $600 million, far greater than the mayor's bid of $124 million. There are four major items to be completed during the project's tenure. The 7,000-seat velodrome is a venue to house the cycling events. The Olympic Stadium is the epicenter of the Olympic Games. The construction of the stadium was unusual in an effort to offset the Montreal Olympics from past events. The Olympics Village is a housing complex for the athletes and team personnel. And lastly, a viaduct was constructed for the 1976 Olympic Games. A viaduct is a long bridge over land that holds railways. The goal is to complete the task on time and within the budgetary constraints. The start of the Games occurred on July 17, 1976, per Britannica. The two primary risks are the completion time and the high cost. With the start of the Games being July 17, 1976, the goal of the project was to complete the project prior to this date. However, often the tasks were delayed by the actions of those in charge. Additionally, the risk of the project going over budget was realized. Mayor Drapeau initially claimed the project would cost the city $124 million. However, the problems faced by the project managers caused the final cost to reach $383 million in operational expenses and $1.21 billion in capital expenditures for the International Olympic Committee. Though the risk of project completion being late was not ultimately realized, the acceleration of the project caused the price tag to skyrocket. In project management used overtime to provide more labor as a means to move the project's completion date earlier. This is called crashing of a project. A proper schedule should indicate the time necessary to complete each item and the sequence of tasks. This is because some functions rely upon the completion of prior tasks. For example, the velodrome plumbing might require the completion of the foundation before work can commence. Patel et al. States, on May 12, 1970, extensive lobbying and diplomacy by Montreal Mayor Jean Drapeau paid off when Montreal was awarded the 1976 Olympic Games over strong bids from Moscow and Los Angeles. However, no work was completed for the subsequent years. The original plan was scrapped for a new architect's plan in 1972. Effectively, this cut the project's time to just 4 years instead of 6. Montreal, Canada had previously accepted the bid to host the World Cycling Championships in 1974. This meant that one of the major items to construct, the velodrome, had 2 years to be completed. Though this timetable was 2 years, actual construction was not started until August 1973. The problem came to a critical moment when 200 cranes were on site. This left many operators simply on site, but not contributing to the project in any meaningful way. This unnecessarily raised costs for labor since proper scheduling had not been completed. If the budget is grossly misrepresented or willfully exceeded, then the project management team did not properly maintain their responsibilities to the stakeholders. The International Olympic Committee states that the final costs were $383 million in operating expenses and $1.21 billion in capital expenditures. In all, the cost overrun from the 1976 Games was 720%. Communication from Mayor Jean Drapeau and architect Roger Talbert provided multiple instances of confusion and inaccurate facts. These actions created distrust for the project's viability and left members of the public wondering about the success of the project. An example of this was in the addition of a water cascade to the parking garages around the Olympic Stadium. Late in the game, Talbert insisted on adding a water cascade to the top of the parking garages connected to the stadium. This added at least $8 million to the cost. This poor late decision could have been communicated earlier and incorporated properly into the planning processes of the parking garages. This error, along with other unfortunate circumstances, led to the parking garages costing $35 million more than anticipated. Talbert, who was to be paid $10 to $15 million for his work, did not help public relations with his lack of modesty. Credibility is hard to earn and easy to lose. The project's closeout featured a change in management. After multiple years of Mayor Drapeau and Talbert making poor decisions which increased the price tag of the project, a meeting was held. On November 19, 1975, the province of Quebec took control to complete construction of the Olympic Park and take over as owner. This effectively removed both Drapeau and Talbert from the project. Also, the debt incurred from the citizens was a result, and this project being a mainstay project management study. The use of crashing of a project successfully allowed the completion to occur before the deadline. Crashing a project refers to accelerating the development of the project to reach an earlier completion date. In this project, management used overtime to provide more labor as a means to move the project's completion date earlier. The project manager should have been transparent with the public regarding the process and the status of the project. Building trust and honesty creates a better reputation for the project. Additionally, this can solve ethical dilemmas like non-public bidding. The public's trust had been decisively broken multiple times due to inaccurate estimates and sealed bidding processes. Drapeau and his peers veered off course and handpicked contractors. This would result in higher costs for the same project to be completed. The build-as-you-go method led to disastrous cost overruns and delays. Proper project management should have been employed. The project manager should have stuck with the original plans. While it is important to be agile and adaptable when planning a project, this does not mean creating undue stress and adding cost on a whim. The adaptability occurs as a result of emergencies or changes in resources. For example, the harsh Quebec winters resulted in delays to the project's completion. Lastly, here are the sources.